Are you an investigative professional? Did you know you can find the best private investigator resources using investigatorstoolbox.com? This resource community was built exclusively for licensed investigators and investigative professionals. You can network directly with members, educate yourself through free webinars and blogs, and even create your own customizable research library. Membership starts for as little as 49 cents a day. Download the Investigator's Toolbox app or visit our webpage at www.investigators-toolbox.com.
You guys have been hearing for a long time about how much I love Crosstracks, but now you're going to hear from somebody else. So we got George Gerges here. George is a member and a user of Crosstracks. George, tell me real quickly what you love about Crosstracks.
The simplicity of using it and the ability to customize everything that you could do with Crosstracks is awesome. It actually allowed me to take the way that I do my business and implement it into their system. And not only am I able to manage 10 or 15 cases, I'm able to manage 50 to 100 cases with the same effort.
Fantastic. So Crosstracks, the case management system, they are SOC 2 certified. Basically, that's an encryption, really an upgrade. They're the only ones out there that are doing it. So please support this great sponsor that supports our show. Check them out. The links are in the show notes. Crosstracks, if you're an investigator, you should be using them today. Hey everybody, this is Matt. Before we jump into the show, I just wanted to talk about John Lajoie. I'm rerunning this episode from an interview I did with him. I think it was like my 49th episode. Those of you who don't know, John Lajoie passed recently, and he's the former president of NALI and just an amazing investigator up in Massachusetts. So John really was influential with me in my career, just managing the whole serving on boards. I remember having some really interesting conversations with him on the pitfalls of donating your time to serve in state associations. And I'm really going to miss that counsel that he gave me. And those of you who knew John knew the stories that he would tell of the investigations that he worked on, which were just amazing. If there was something newsworthy, he either worked on that case or worked on some case similar, and that would just go down a rabbit hole of about 30 or 40 minutes worth of conversations on different topics. And I didn't know him a long time, but he definitely was influential to me. And I wanted to rerun this episode because I think it's important, a lot of the things that he says in there. And I had just such an honor and opportunity to do that. A short while after we recorded that episode is when he was initially diagnosed with having cancer. So, it's so crazy how quickly life turns on you, and just to see what kind of fighter he was. So we're going to jump into the show now. I wanted to say that, for those of you that knew John, he was amazing. And for those of you that didn't, check out this episode and you'll learn a little bit about just a great man in this industry. So sit tight, enjoy the show, and we'll be back to a regular program next week, guys. Thank you.
Welcome to PI Perspectives. Matt is bringing back episode 48 for John Lajoie. John was the former national director for NALI. He passed away recently, and we'd like to reintroduce our listeners to him. He was an amazing storyteller and one of the best in the business. So flashback episode 48. Please welcome John Lajoie and your host, private investigator Matt Spaier.
And welcome everybody to this week's episode of PI Perspectives. I am really, really excited this week with our guest. We are talking to John Lajoie, the director of NALI, the National Association of Legal Investigators. John, I want to welcome you to the program. How are you?
Hey, I'm great, Matt. Thank you for having me. It certainly is an honor and a pleasure to be on PI Perspectives and speak to your audience tonight. So I'm excited about that. I'm ready to talk about NALI and the PI world. So shoot away. Let's go. Okay,
so let's talk a little bit about your background, because you've been doing this for quite some time. I believe you're on your 31st year. Is that correct?
I was licensed in 1989 in Massachusetts. I'm home based in central Massachusetts, and That's when I obtained my license. I was an insurance litigation investigator prior to that, so I was in the insurance business. Prior to that, I was in the United States Air Force.
Oh, thank you for serving.
Thank you very much. 6 years. Did a couple of years overseas. Got out of the military. Got my bachelor's degree, and set out to join the business world. And ended up in an insurance company that showed me the ropes. And from there, it was kind of a long 5 years there, but I learned a lot. And they taught me how to investigate. And I hooked up with a criminal defense attorney while I was there, because he was doing a criminal case, where the civil overlapped with the criminal.
Right.
And that happens, leaving the scene of a personal injury accident, for instance.
Sure.
You got a civil aspect of it and a criminal aspect. And I investigated the civil aspect of it for the insurance company, and he subpoenaed my file because he represented the defendant, who was our insured.
Right.
And he said, "Hey, you do a better job than most police officers. I'd like to have you come in and learn the ropes in criminal defense."
Right.
So I did do that with permission from the insurance company. And when he had me in, my first criminal case, you're not going to believe this, and maybe your listeners won't, was an actual homicide investigation. So,
Wow.
So that was my first criminal case. And I can say now I've done at least a couple of hundred homicide investigations for the defense.
Wow.
And if you can do those, you can do most anything, because they're the toughest.
They are definitely the toughest.
Then I formed my business, which is Lajoie Investigations. It's a legal investigation company, and just celebrated the 30-year anniversary. And during that time, I've become involved in associations. I've joined many associations. I've become involved in association positions of leadership, both on a local, statewide, and a national level. Of course,
right.
With NALI being, my love, what a privilege and honor it is to serve, and to serve legal investigators and private investigators all over the world. So I'm blessed.
What was the drive? When did you get that aha moment to say, like, okay, I'm going to start my own business and I can do this on my own? What do you think really pushed you to do that?
While I was working for the insurance company as a outside investigator, investigating claims, and then complex claims and complex litigation claims, and doing some underwriting and dealing with coverage issues and whatnot, I would assign out investigations to private investigators in Massachusetts. And I noticed that in the central part of the state, there was no real top-notch investigator or agencies. There were in Boston, and there was one in Springfield. And I'm like, why am I hiring these Boston and Springfield investigators to come to the central part of the state? So there was a need.
Right.
So I recognized that need. I loved the investigative portion of being an insurance investigator and a litigation specialist. But I was settling claims also, negotiating with attorneys, pricing cases up on injuries or deaths, doing complex all-line casualty claims handling. So I love the investigative part of it much better. So
right.
Bang, the light bulb went off in my head at about the fourth year at the largest insurer in Massachusetts, and still the largest insurer, Commerce Insurance Company, which is bought out by Mopfrey. And they're currently a client now, and they're a great insurance company. And that's what I credit getting my training,
right.
and also putting in my mind that I could do this. Well, I majored in history and political science and philosophy in college, and that didn't give me much business experience. So if I'm going to go out on my own, what am I going to do?
Right.
Right? I mean, so I had to figure that out. So what I did was, I already had my bachelor's degree, and I didn't feel that going back to a college would do it. So, those nightlife classes where you can take, like 3 month, once a week, 3 hour a session classes.
Right.
And I did that, how to start your own small business.
Okay.
And I had a sweetheart of a teacher who I still keep in touch with, who told me when I went in for my first class, I didn't have a pen on me or a pencil.
A slacker.
And I asked her, she goes, you know what? People that don't have pens and pencils, all right, they're doomed for failure.
Loser.
Nice. I keep reminding her of what she said to me, and she has me speak at her classes now. So anyway, she taught me the ropes. I did a business plan. I went to a bank. I convinced them to loan me $11,000 of an unsecured loan. I took my ESOP from the insurance company. I had about $25,000. I had a wife, a 2-year-old. My wife was pregnant with my second child, and I said, I'm going to leave this secure job, and I'm going to take the risk and start my own small business because I know that I can do this.
Nice.
I know it.
Nice.
And I had great help with finances and numbers from CPA. We worked the business plan up, wrote it up, and he did the numbers, walked into the bank. I got the unsecured loan. Don't ask me how.
Yeah.
I had to sell myself and convince myself.
I had the same experience, man. It's no small task, definitely.
And especially to a banker.
Yeah.
I mean, so what do you really do? You know, and you know how I related to that was skip trace on debtors. So, you know, that's one aspect of private investigation.
Sure.
Where you can harness some business. So, you know, and I made him understand it. And then he finally popped the big question. He says, well, you know what? You're not willing to put anything behind it. You're not willing to back it up with, you know, I had a house, you know, with a lien on your house, or, you know, give us some collateral on your house.
Right.
I said, what are you talking about? I said, I'm not going to put another mortgage on my house. I'm not going to do that. But you're telling me, what am I giving up? I'm giving up a job that pays great money, that's supporting my wife and kids and paying the mortgage. I'm going from that to zero.
Right.
I'm putting up my life savings. I'm putting my children's health and welfare on the line.
Right.
That's what I'm giving up.
Right.
It's a big risk, but I'm going to succeed. And I had some clients lined up, and I did my homework. I did my research. I did the right things. I made the right moves. And a big move that I made, which when the business was successful after a couple of 3 years, the internet was becoming a big deal.
Right.
You know, there was such a thing called websites, you know, and nobody ever knew what's a website, you know. Oh, wow, you know. I mean, they're out there, but it wasn't on the tip of your tongue all the time like it is today.
Sure, I remember. Yep.
So I went out and I said, you know what, I need a website. And I was trying to pick a domain name. And I said, I gotta pick the cream of the crop. I gotta pick something like, if you're a jeweler, you want jewelry.com. Well, I'm a PI. Let's take a look. And it so happened that privateinvestigator.com was available from Network Solutions.
Oh, wow.
So obviously, I was smart enough to, you know, there's some luck involved in that too.
Sure, absolutely.
It was available. I scoffed it up, and I have turned it into a big moneymaker. So my website is privateinvestigator.com. So if your listeners go to that website, you can go to that website, and it's a pretty big website, and you can look and see, and you can gain some knowledge and experience just from what's written in the website. And there's not one word of it that's embellished. And it's helped my business tremendously,
I'm sure.
Financially.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's fantastic.
And I've been offered some good money on it too.
I bet you have. I really bet you have. That's awesome, man. Yeah, you got to think that your background in insurance, just your experience, is something that was very attractive when now you're hanging up your shingle, because you know what to look for, right? So you have that target audience, the insurance industry, saying, I used to do what you do. I understand what you're looking for. Let me service the account. That's got to be something that is very very pleasing, you know, something that makes you very attractive to an insurance carrier.
I can probably, yeah, and I completely agree, and I can give you a great example. I think about 65 to 70% of our profession, our industry, private investigators, private investigation, comprised of ex-law enforcement.
Right, yep.
And you know what? They do a great job. I respect law enforcement. I respect the law enforcement officers that retire and then become private investigators, and then realize how difficult it is to get information without a badge versus with a badge.
No magic, ease of getting information, right?
no magic key.
No magic button to hit to get that subpoena, right?
And the point is, though, to get insurance company work, you need to know how to read an insurance policy.
Sure.
Whether you're talking about an auto policy versus a BOP policy, which is a business owner's policy, or a garage policy, which services auto dealerships and service auto body shops and whatnot, homeowners policy, a commercial liability policy, a general liability policy, a non-owned hired policy, all the different lines of casualty insurance policies that insure folks from a loss, that if there is such a loss, that you will be equipped to investigate. So, yes, that's where you have it over the ex-law enforcement who has no knowledge of how to read a policy, to apply the facts of a loss to the terms of the policy,
Right.
to determine whether or not there's coverage or not. Because insurance companies, believe it or not, give coverage investigations, intentional acts versus non-intentional
Yeah,
acts.
of course.
Stage
It's formulas,
accidents,
man. It's all formulas. Yep.
and whatnot. And the bottom line, all right, is if you know that, you have one step up when you're walking, when you're marketing or walking into an insurance company to ask them for your business. And if you have the buzzwords, the PIP, the Part 5, bodily injury, others, what it covers and what it doesn't. Like, what is limited collision coverage? What is comprehensive? What is personal injury protection?
Yep.
If you know all that and you know those buzzwords, when you're in there talking with them, that's a much easier sell.
Absolutely.
Much easier. So I was trained by a wonderful group of folks at an insurance company, but that's only one aspect in one genre of private investigation. There's the criminal investigation. There's civil and criminal. Insurance comes under civil.
Right.
Criminal investigation, and it could come under criminal too, depending if there's fraud.
Right.
So when we handle SIU fraud investigations at my agency as well. But I'm a death investigator. That's my specialty.
Right.
I specialize in death investigations on both the civil and the criminal side.
Right.
And usually if there's a death in central Massachusetts and it's above the fold stuff, it usually ends up on my desk,
Right.
One way or the other, either from a plaintiff side or from insurance defense side, or a defendant that's been arrested for a homicide, be it a motor vehicle homicide or a murder one.
Great.
So, I mean, I think those are the differences,
Yeah.
and they, if you can certainly sell yourself because of your past knowledge and your experience, and you become educated and intelligent in that word speak, you can certainly sell yourself a lot better to the client, to the target market, or the client that you're seeking to obtain.
Right. Right. Okay. So we're going to jump out real quick and just take a quick break. And when we come back, I would really like to start jumping into NALI and really expose people to what NALI is and the benefits and what they can do. So I'm going to ask everybody to sit tight. We'll be right back. And we're just going to get a word in from our sponsors.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you.
Check out the PI Institute of Education at piinstitute.com. Since 1989, Kelly Riddle has been teaching on subjects such as surveillance, nursing home investigations, insurance fraud, domestic investigations, hidden assets, and accident scene investigations. The PI Institute of Education is a featured learning partner in the investigatorstoolbox.com. So check out the free content on the site, then visit the Institute for more great savings on additional classes. Are you an investigative professional with an international problem you can't solve? Conflict International has the knowledge and relationships to jump in for you. We compensate investigators for referring cases to our office. Contact us today for details. Conflict International uses insight, intelligence, investigation, risk management, and strategic solutions to solve problems troubling individuals and companies of all kinds, anywhere around the world. Whether you're planning to hire a person to a position of trust, carry out due diligence on a company, trace hidden assets, or require skilled boots on the ground, Conflict International investigators can seamlessly pursue a case across borders, offering a truly global solution. Find out about our extensive range of services at conflictinternational.com. Conflict International. Global reach, international knowledge. Looking for an insurance agent that puts you first? Every PI business is different. That's why OREP Insurance can shop multiple markets to ensure you get the best coverage to meet your unique business needs. OREP's model is business by the golden rule, and for over 20 years, they've built their business by putting their clients first. So come enjoy a fast online application and same-day certificates of insurance at OREP.org. OREP has coverage for armed investigators, executive protection, and even has a separate policy for security firms. The application takes less than 5 minutes, so visit OREP.org today. OREP.org. Check out the latest issue of PI Magazine, available online or by hard copy. Visit PIMagazine.com to learn more. Right now, back to the rerun of episode 48 with John Lajoie. Here's Matt.
And welcome, everybody. We are back here on PI Perspectives. Our guest this week is John Lajoie from Lajoie Investigations up in Massachusetts. And John is here today to talk to us about NALI. So, John, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Matt, and all your listeners who haven't turned off the podcast yet because I'm on it. But
thanks for that.
Anyway, I can talk about NALI. NALI, is a wonderful organization. It stands for National Association of Legal Investigators, and that's a select group of folks.
Right. And
I'm honored to be the president and the CEO of the organization. So, the buck stops here, so to speak.
Right.
But NALI is not run without a team of folks, and you need to put together a team of folks, and we have a great executive director in Julian Bale. That's Bale Shirey. I mean, let me tell you, she is as good as they get.
Right.
So she's been great to work with. Also, the executive council of NALI, which is its board of directors, and NALI is divided in the United States by 7 regions. Each region in different parts of the country is, anywhere from 5 to 13 states in each region, and or more. Maybe there's 14 in another. And then we have an international region as well, but that wasn't the original part of NALI. The 7 regions were, and all the members in each region, they elect a regional director. Those 7 regional directors, plus our international regional director, sit on our executive council.
Okay. I'm
the chairman of the board and the chair of the executive council. And there's 2 other national officers besides myself, an assistant national director and a national secretary. That's what governs NALI in the country and beyond in our international country.
So talk to me a little bit about the purpose of NALI. What I know you have the certified legal investigator, right? That's a big aspect of it.
Yeah, that's a program that we have. But
right.
The mission, what's the mission? NALI is 53 years old. NALI was formed in 1967. It's the oldest association in the country for legal investigators. In fact, I believe it's probably the oldest continuous association perhaps in the world for legal investigators. In fact, I know it is, and it may even be the oldest continuous association without breaking up or renaming in the United States. The purpose of NALI is really to endorse and promote and to also safeguard the highest professional ethics of the legal investigative profession, also to explore and cultivate and advance those arts and sciences and ethics. It also, the second part is NALI seeks and establishes and promotes a national association in an international region which will organize and serve and educate members that will enforce canons of ethics and establish the highest standard for the practice of legal investigation. And what is legal investigation? What is there a difference between private investigation and legal investigation? There is. It's not much of a difference.
Right.
The criteria is for membership in NALI is that the investigator has to perform litigation support investigative services for those attorneys who are in the private practice of law and or public defender's offices, state, federal defender's offices. So the bottom line is, if you're a surveillance investigator just doing domestics, you're likely not going to get into NALI unless you're doing it for a lawyer, all right, who's presenting it in a court of law. You
Right.
follow me?
Yep.
So also, our vetting process is the toughest vetting process for membership in the business. We assure that you are, in fact, a legal investigator rather than just a computer forensics investigator that never goes into court.
Right.
That person's not going to qualify. All right. And I think, the vetting process of NALI is incredible. In fact, that's what draws attorneys to us, because the vetting process is comprehensive.
Right.
It mandates a detailed investigation that is accomplished by the regional director of the applicant's region. So somebody from Region 2, or you're from Region 1, you're a new NALI member, you came on board in my first year as national director.
I did.
And by the way, I was reelected in June, so I'm pleased and honored for that privilege.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And you came on board and you went through the process.
I did, yeah. So I can talk on that actually. So I'll take a minute and just say how impressed I was. It wasn't just, submitting references, getting letters from clients, which I had to do, but you guys actually called them, interviewed them to make sure it was legit, which I thought was pretty cool, right? The vetting process is real, Listen,
well, that's one aspect of the vetting process. I mean, the vetting process is a 6-page online application that asks
sir. Yep.
you remember.
Yep.
So it takes some time to fill it out.
Yeah.
And, it asks every question under the sun.
Yeah.
Because we want to make sure that we're getting the best of the best.
Yeah.
And then after the application comes in, it mandates a detailed investigation, but that's accomplished first by the regional director of the applicant's region. So that person checks you out. And it may be just a background investigation. If you're licensed in multiple states in that region, it'll include that and whatnot. Then after that's complete, or during it, a personal interview is conducted, and sometimes more than once with the applicant, along with a requirement of specific and detailed letters of recommendation from hiring attorneys.
Very true.
And or employers. So we want that. We used to require 3. We changed our bylaws to require 2, because what's the difference between 2 and you're going to know? All right. So we also wanted to make it a little bit less, burdensome on attorneys.
I got to be honest, man. It's a little uncomfortable asking a client of yours, like, hey, do you mind doing this? I mean, and just thinking, to me, I got over 100 law firms I work with. So
we might even call to verify the applicant's investigative acumen and experience.
Oh, you did? No, you did. That I can tell you. You absolutely did. Yeah.
So, then a detailed,
I appreciate that. Yeah.
And then after that, Matt, a detailed civil and criminal background national is accomplished. We pay for that.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's a check and balance on the regional director's investigation. And also it takes some time. So I'd say the application process we're now processing, it used to take months. Now it's taking a couple of 3 weeks to 4 weeks. Right. All right. Because of some of the initiatives that have happened in NALI under my leadership. So, and then the regional director has to approve it. Then it comes to me and I look at the whole thing.
Right.
And then I finally give the final approval. And then obviously the welcome letter comes. And that's when you were ecstatic, when you saw my signature on that letter. So I was happy to let you in because, Matt, you're a very competent investigator.
You vetted me, so yes.
And you've proven yourself,
Thank you,
you're doing good things. So
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
What prepared me most for leading NALI, because NALI has 350 or so voting members. We've got associate members. We've got some retired active members, although they're retired. There's 150 or 140 of them. We've got almost 500 people active in NALI, one way or the other.
Right.
All right. And one of the biggest missions of NALI is the people itself. So the third mission that we're talking about is where a professional association that wants to be inclusive, we want to be diverse.
Yep.
We want to foster mutual trust and goodwill, and we want to establish friendship amongst ourselves, so that NALI members know NALI members, so that if you want to call John Lajoie in Worcester, Massachusetts, because he specializes in a certain type of death investigation that happened it was some self-defense involved, and Lajoie specializes in self-defense, and your guy was from New York, and he was up here, and he got in a little fight, and he's defending himself.
Those Yankee fans, you got to watch out for those Yankee fans.
That's right, a Red Sox fan. He tried to beat a Red Sox fan. He really just wanted to push him.
Hey, let's not take sides here, okay?
He pushed him too hard, and he hit his head on the corner of a bar, and he died.
Right.
Well, you're going to get arrested for manslaughter, bare minimum.
Right.
And but that Matthew Spaier, who's that lawyer whose family goes to your client, and he calls you, and I need somebody in Worcester, Massachusetts, and you're going to know that, hey, John Lajoie is the guy I want to call. Yeah. Or if I want to have an excellent criminal defense investigation done on a federal case in Denver, Colorado, you know that you can call Ellis Armistead and you're going to get a top-notch investigation. You want to be in Fort Lauderdale? You can call Rory McMahon.
Right.
And also, one of the biggest missions, or perhaps the biggest mission, is the education, the standard. What is best practice? How do we do this? How do we accomplish it? Well, we hold seminars, and we bring in the most world-renowned experts in their field and in genres of investigation to teach everything from photography, DUI investigation, all the way up to railroad crossing investigations, railroad accidents, Jones Act maritime cases, airplane crashes, all the way to the simple auto accident. And on the criminal defense side, everything from a simple trespass to rape, armed robbery, murder investigation on behalf of defendants who have been arrested, some wrongly accused, and that has been borne out by some of our friends and NALI members who took part in Innocence Project investigations to bring folks who had confessed to murders.
A great nonprofit, really.
And they were and they were the Innocence Project, and they were proven, all right, that they didn't do the deed through DNA evidence and other hard investigation done by the Innocence Project. So, NALI members have been involved in that. But the bottom line is, we conduct these seminars twice a year, and unfortunately, COVID
killed Toronto, man. I was looking forward to Toronto. I really wanted to go up, but it was unfortunate, man.
It was, that was the first in NALI's 53-year history.
Yeah.
That we had to cancel an annual conference, and we did it via Zoom, our annual meeting, no conference. I'm not so sure how I feel about conferencing, digitally.
Right.
I think online education classes that has, been edited and then vetted and proven, maybe offers a little bit more for investigators than unproven digital conferencing right now when people are just trying, starting it up. And that's not to say it can't be done great.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just saying that I think if somebody's looking for CEUs for either licensing accreditation or for your certifications, whether you're a certified legal investigator or CLI, which is NALI certification, by the way, it is the oldest and the most prestigious certification in the profession. There's no question about it.
Very hard to achieve, too, by the way.
And it is. And I don't think you'll get anybody, even other folks that certify other associations, to disagree with me on that. They may fight the good fight and debate the good argument with me.
Yeah.
But the CLI, there's only 64 of them in the world.
Yeah.
There used to be over 90, and folks have retired and whatnot. And we're looking to get younger folks into NALI. And that's one of more diversity into NALI.
Sure.
Younger folks of all creeds and colors, women into the investigative field.
Sure.
Because I can tell you, there are some fantastic women investigators. Down about by you, there's Diane Cowan, there's Kitty Haley.
Kitty's awesome, yeah.
Fantastic. Kitty, oh my God. Has she been on the podcast yet?
Not yet. I had Kitty and I had a conversation in New Jersey. I'd actually gone to the New Jersey Association to present, and she drove all the way up from Pennsylvania to check me out, which I was honored that she would actually make the trip to go watch me speak.
Yes,
but we had a chat.
Kitty is one of my closest NALI friends.
She's great. Yeah,
she's one of my NALI sisters.
Yeah,
I love her dearly. Yep. She stayed in my house. I've been to her house. People like that in NALI all over the country.
Yeah, you want to talk about ethics? Yeah, I mean, that's Kitty's the go-to on that stuff. She really,
ethics. She's the guru for ethics. Yeah. And when I was what really prepared me though to become the leader of probably the most prestigious investigative association in the world, at least for legal investigators. I don't want to insult anybody. I'm a member of NCISS, IntelNet, and whatnot.
Yeah.
But each of those associations, we all have a different mission.
Yeah, everybody serves a purpose. You're absolutely right. That's a
Correct.
Good point to make.
The purposes are different and whatnot. So NALI's really concerned about elevating the standards of practice.
Sure.
And ethics, and establishing and fostering mutual trust and goodwill amongst each other so that we can depend upon each other. We can call upon each other. We can put together a team of investigators if necessary to solve even the most complex cases.
Well, now that
help people.
You're saying that, let's talk about there was one case that briefly, let's get into it, where you tapped into your NALI resources to solve the unsolvable question here. So tell me a little bit about that case.
Well, I had a client that had some money. He was from Ohio, and he was seeking an investigator to find his brother, who had deserted from the United States Marines in 1969. Now, mind you, this is like 2003 or 4 or 5, or right in that area.
Right.
And so he hadn't seen him in 30 some odd years. And he was his only sibling. Parents had died. So he sought out an investigator. God knows how he found me. I think it was through privateinvestigator.com.
Hey, no plugs, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, there you go.
But I also want to plug NALI for those of your listeners. Before I forget to do this,
we're gonna have it in the show notes. But yeah, go ahead.
All right. It's www.nali.com.
Sure.
And we want you to be a member of NALI.
Yes.
If you qualify as a legal investigator, we're going to welcome you with open arms.
Absolutely.
And we're looking for people like you, people like your listeners. So please go explore. NALI may not be for you, but if it is, we want you.
It's a great association.
So we need you.
Yep.
So anyway, he came to my office. He called me. He flew in. He told me what it was about. I says, yep, he says, I'm willing to fly out, talk to you. Well, anyway, after hearing the whole story, I took the case. Long story short, 9 months later, 9 months, and there were ebbs and flows to the investigation, and there were lulls.
Right.
9 months later, I found his brother in a federal prison in Atlanta under a different name, date of birth, and social security number. This guy had changed his name. He had gone from Okinawa to stateside to Canada to Mexico to different, he may have even been in South America.
Wow.
Back to the States, back to this state, back to that state. In 30 years, you're trying to put together something. You got to know what the guy did for 30 years. You got to go backwards before you can go forward, so to speak. So, I did just that, and he made a mistake. Well, I knew he had changed his name a number of times. I knew he had used a lot of social security numbers. All right. I didn't have the exact names. All right. But, okay, he had never used his real social security number to do any debt, anything, buy anything, credit anything, get a loan with anything. And you know that our proprietary databases that we have access to after we're fully vetted can provide big-time leads on that stuff.
Sure.
But only if somebody uses their real name,
absolutely,
their date of birth, and their social. So anyway, he made a mistake. He was using variations of his social security number 10 different times over the 30 years. And he made a mistake. He used his real social security number to purchase a cell phone in and around near the Fort Lauderdale area. And it was about 4.5 months. I kept running databases. And all of a sudden, there was a lull for a couple of months where the investigation was stale. It popped. Bang. Oh, my God, I got an address in Florida.
Right.
This address turned out to be a hotel in the Fort Lauderdale area. Well, I need people to check that out. I'm not just going to get on a plane and fly down.
Right.
So who do I call? Kerry Farney, certified legal investigator from Orlando, and Rory McMahon, certified legal investigator from Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
Rory's one of my closest friends.
Rory's awesome. I've seen him
Yeah,
speak.
haven't talked to Kerry in a long time, but
Yeah.
he's a good friend.
Yeah.
And put them two together and said, "Hey, we got to solve this." We went over everything. I even had this guy's photograph aged by an expert at the Center for Missing and Exploited Children in Atlanta.
Wow.
I start out in Atlanta and I end up in Atlanta.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So
amazing.
anyway, we went, put it together. We found out who the owner was of the hotel. It was somebody that had recently bought the hotel, an Indian guy. It was kind of like a skank hotel, but, close to the beach. All right. And Rory went there and he says, the guy just bought the hotel. He doesn't know anything, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, I'm going to get the age photos. I'm going to fly down there myself. I found out the store where he purchased the phone at, all right, before I went down there. So I knew where he had purchased the phone because I had somebody, a source, get the inquiry on that. So I knew the provider, and the provider told me the store that the phone was sold at. I fly down, I meet McMahon, I meet Farney. These are NALI members now and CLIs. And we ended up putting Dave Wasser from Miami on it because Miami came into the fray. But and he was an NALI member,
Right.
and a CLI. So we got 4 CLIs, all right, that are going to work this case. So we get down to the hotel, talk to the Indian guy again. Now we're scouring by the beach and the boardwalks under the beach, showing these pictures. And one guy says, "Yeah, I've seen that guy." And I had 6 different pictures: beard, facial hair, no facial hair, short hair, long hair, the works. And he goes, "Yeah, I've seen that guy around the hotel. And, yeah, that guy, but he hasn't been here for a while." I said, "How long?" He said, "Like 4 or 5 months." I found out the Indian guy had bought the place like 3 months ago. I said, "You know what? I want to talk to the former owner." So we tracked down the former owner. All right, we call him. Me, Farney, and McMahon. We call up Dave Wasser because there was a problem. There might have been a problem because somebody said, all right, that I think the same guy or another guy said, that guy might have robbed a bank down in Miami.
Nice.
All right, so we're
Small
like,
problem.
oh my God. All right, so yeah. So now, we got Wasser involved. So I get Wasser up there. So now we all go to see the former, I think I called the former owner first. And I said, "Hey, do you remember this guy who was hanging out about this time? He had a room at your place. I think the room, it was in the back of the hotel because we had gathered up enough information. And I think they gave the room number to the store. We had gone to the store. We had saw the room number. All right. I said, the guy by the, I think his name was Bob. All right. But no last name on this. Okay. A fake last name. All right. So he goes, yeah, there is a guy. I said, we want to show you some pictures. Can we meet you? So he says, yeah, come and meet me over at my house. So we went and met him at his house. I showed him a picture. He goes, wait a minute. He goes into his house. He brings out a huge box and he pulls out an identification. And he holds with a photo ID. And he holds a photo ID directly against the age photograph, no hair, short hair. And lo and behold, it was like a spitting image. And I looked at
Shout out to Atlanta.
I looked at the guy and I said, What? And this guy,
Wow.
Let's just say it was John Smith on the ID. That's not his real name. Right. But it was John Smith with the hotel address on it and whatnot. Oh. And I said, hey, you said the guy might have robbed, somebody said the guy might have robbed the bank. He goes, not only did this guy rob a bank, he had to get out of the hotel quick. He didn't take any of his stuff. That's why I have it.
Right.
All right. He says he was being pursued by the feds. He robbed about 9 banks. One right up in this town. I can't remember the name of the town, but it was like 20 miles north of Lauderdale. And he knew he robbed that bank. So we went up to the town police. There's a Wasser come in because he's ex-law enforcement. He knew everybody.
Yep.
I mean, Farney was, but Wasser knew the buzzwords and lingo, all right? And he gets a police report, and we get a name. We get a name. We get a date of birth. We get a social. Now, I know this guy is using variations of his social, and lo and behold, there was a variation of the social on the police report. We knew what court. He finally had been nabbed in Miami, and thank God it was the Miami federal court. All right, so Wasser was really helpful there. All right, so we get in, we pull the file, and there was a pre-sentencing investigation. That's what the feds do before they sentence somebody to jail,
right.
To get a handle on, how long they're going to sentence them for the bank robberies. There's like 9 or 10 of them. In there, it says your background. I mean, it's like a 50 or 60-page investigation that the feds do. His background. It was all where he came from. Czechoslovakia, his mother, the same name as mother, father. I go, this is our guy. Where in the hell is he?
Right.
Well, we had to track him down in the federal, prison system. And lo and behold, he was in Atlanta. So right where I started.
Right back to Atlanta.
I can tell you it would take another podcast, but getting in to see him, because he's in under the name that he was at the hotel in.
Yeah,
okay?
Sure.
All right, and the feds didn't even know who they had.
Right.
They didn't cross-reference the fingerprints of the military. Then they would have found out who he really was and that he was deserting.
Right.
And so we couldn't risk anybody finding that out because a desertion can cause a lot of time in prison.
Right.
So bottom line is I did get in to see him with an attorney, and I did get to talk to him through a glass, through a phone. But, they're recording everything, so you can't trust it. So I talked to him by writing. And when I said to him, I know you're blank, blank, through the window at the lawyer there, because it was a lawyer visit. That's how we got in. He fell off his rolling chair onto the floor.
Wow.
And then he had a pencil, and he started writing, how did you find me?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Blah, blah, blah. I said, I think your brother hired us. And,
that's a great story.
And then we had to figure out how to get him in. So, it was a whole, but articles have been written about that. I've spoken about it. I've given seminars on that, locate investigation. And there are people out there that would tell you that was probably the most difficult private locate investigations that anybody in our profession has ever accomplished. And it can't be done alone. You can't do things yourself.
Well, and that's why we bring it back here, right? So it's the resources from NALI that you tapped into, all those folks that that you wouldn't know these people if you were just, John Lajoie from Boston or up in Massachusetts, right? You wouldn't know these guys.
If you're going to depend upon your state association for business, think again.
Right.
Now, in rare cases, and in some cases, maybe. But the referrals of getting known in NALI, being liked, knowing that you're a person of competence, somebody has something in your area, they're calling you. Yeah. And these aren't $200, $300, $400 investigations.
No, this is meaty stuff. Yeah.
This is big dollar stuff.
Right.
And, if you want to join in that circle and be known as a very competent investigator, NALI can teach you from the inception of when you get your license. We'll bring you. We will guide you. We will help you. We will teach you. NALI is an association of very competent professional legal investigators.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the listserv, which is an amazing listserv.
Amazing listserv. Right?
Just amazing.
What are the benefits of NALI?
Yeah.
I mean, those, I suppose, those are the things that draw people.
Sure.
NALI charges $175, and that's pretty cheap. That's a bargain per year for the many benefits of membership. And I've spoken about the value of membership to you, and how it can bring referrals, and how you can be taught, and how you can become certified through our CLI program, which is a benefit to members because you charge a lesser fee than a non-member. Hey, NALI doesn't discriminate. You want to take the CLI exam and you're not a member of NALI? Come on, we want you.
Right.
We allow non-members to take the CLI exam. We care about your competence.
Sure.
We want to elevate you to be the best that you can be. Not that you're better than anybody else, but that you're more knowledgeable in your area of specialty.
Sure.
That you are a legal investigator that can be counted upon to conduct the most complex of investigations.
Yeah, no, there's meat in that. There's definitely importance there.
The listserv is another benefit. That listserv, all members of NALI are on a listserv. It's a very professional listserv.
It is.
No joking, no flaming, no nothing.
It's good stuff.
It is for if you have help, or you have a question and you need help, you get the answer from a number of different people within minutes, within seconds.
Yeah.
And that's how we help each other. And our specialized member directory is available to the public, and it's often used by lawyers and employees who are seeking skilled legal investigators.
Sure.
In specific or different geographical location or a specific discipline of investigation. So if you need a legal investigator halfway across the country or across the world, you go to the membership directory and voila.
Yep.
You can find a legal investigator who specializes in that specific discipline that can help you.
Yeah. So
I think that's really the bigger benefits.
Definitely all there. And I can say from my own personal experience, quote unquote, joining the club in November or December, whenever I got that letter, I've already tapped into the resources. I've already used people from NALI to get the job done. Right. You helped me on a case, a death case I had in New York City. And you nailed it. You nailed it. I mean, when we ran a DMV involved a motor vehicle death, you're like, something's up with this guy's insurance. It's it's kooky. How it's going in.
Did I charge you?
I don't even. If you did, it was very minimal. I mean,
that's the way NALI members treat other NALI members.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And in state association, there's a little bit less of politics, although NALI has had its ups, ebbs and flows.
Another discussion for another day.
Right, but I have been a 2-time president of the Licensed Private Detectives Association of Massachusetts, which trained me well.
Yeah.
All right, to become the leader of NALI.
Yeah.
And I've also been the CLI chairperson. I was a 4-year stint there. I served 6 different terms as Region 1 director, which is the 13 original colony states, your region. So I have been well trained, and I have been well suited to step into this position.
Yeah.
And we have done some wonderful things. NALI Publications, the Legal Investigator, which comes out and is published 2 times a year, and you saw the results of our evergreen issue of the Discover NALI, the Legal Investigator, which was printed, and it was the first one that has been printed in 10 years. And that's an evergreen issue that is given to attorneys, because what we want to do, given to our members, and it's also given to attorneys, sent to other investigators, because we want you as members. We want to bring attorneys to your doorstep to give you business, and we want name recognition, and we want to increase that name recognition, and that's what the Discover NALI program is all about. I'm the one that birthed the idea of the Discover NALI initiative. Something that popped into my brain like 4 or 5 months before I even announced I was going to run for president or national director. And NALI, Discover NALI is really my vision. It's a vision. It's an initiative to bring.
It's a great initiative.
The name recognition, value, unity, diversity, inclusivity, increased membership, enhanced benefits, and attorney awareness.
That's all good
to
stuff.
NALI.
Yeah, it's all good
and
stuff.
And that way, they're going to call you. Yeah. When they need an investigator, they're going to go to www.nali.com. They're going to go to the online membership directory, and they're going to find an investigator, all right, in Orlando, Florida. They're going to find one in Garland, Texas. So they're going to find one in Boise, Idaho, or in Long Beach, California, or Portland, Oregon, or they're going to find one in Canada. They're going to find one in Asia. They're going to find one in the United Kingdom that can assist and help them get the job done for their client.
Sure.
What we do is we help people.
No, you
Matt.
do. It's a great organization, man. And I, just being new to the association, just going out to the events and all that, like I love it. I love being a part of it. I'm a big fan, and I look forward to many, many more events and seeing people in person again at some point. We're going to wind down here, John. I really appreciate your time. This was great. That story is amazing.
I got to tell you, though, one thing. I also am an author. I got a couple of books.
Oh, yeah. Trials and Tribulations of a Real Life Private Eye, right?
That's the book. That's the book that you can laugh. You can read. You can laugh. And it's a true story. And
we'll put a link in the show notes.
Tribulations of a Real Life PI. And what it does is dispels the myths and tells the reality about our profession in a memoir and also an exemplar style. So it's funny. Kitty Haley loved it. She laughed throughout it. And,
Kitty approved.
And whatnot. And you can also go to privateinvestigator.com and check that out.
Yeah,
but
and please do.
I'd rather have everybody go to NALI.com.
Yep.
Because thank you for letting me speak about the association that I so love.
It's a great one.
And that I'm going to lead for another year.
So listen, we're going to end here. And I want to personally actually thank you for your dedication to this industry, John.
Thank you as well.
Yeah. You, just setting the bar, the example. I know, like, the first time we got to meet in person was down in Tampa in January. And man, I was just blown away by your professionalism and just your passion for these codes of ethics and just having that higher standard. And it comes from leadership all the way down, right? So you've set the bar for doing that. And it just, from a guy that just coming in to seeing how things are done there, I was so impressed, and not just with you, but with everybody in NALI, everybody that was at that event. I mean, it's just like amazing. You're having, I was like Alice in Wonderland, just twirling around, and oh, this person does this, that person does that, like this does that.
It takes a team.
Yeah, it's so great. So great.
You can't do it. You can't be successful. You cannot. You must muster support, and you must find a way, even if you disagree, to reasonably disagree, and then fight for what you really believe in. You need to come together as a team, and that's what's important, because I don't do this alone.
Yeah,
I don't do it alone.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for everybody that has helped me along the way. I'm grateful that you had me on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. It was.
If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, we're going to put all your contact information in the show notes. Obviously they know privateinvestigator.com and NALI.com and all that. So yeah, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you everybody for tuning in. And we're going to have another episode this Thursday. Actually, we're going to continue our quick hits with Osmosis leading up to the conference. But John, again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we'll catch everybody on the next show. Take care, everyone.
John Lajoie was an amazing investigator and a friend to so many in the industry, especially Matt. We hope this little segment gives you a good indication of his love for the investigative profession. A special thanks also goes to Crosstracks, PI Institute of Education, Conflict International, and OREP for sponsoring this show. Please support our great supporters. Have you thought about joining Investigators Toolbox? Now's the time to get on board and join the fastest growing digital community for investigative professionals. Use code PIP201836 to save 10% on membership when you join. If you have a question or a comment about the show, just email Matt at matthews@satellitepi.com. You can also find him on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. We want your feedback to bring you the best shows possible. And we'll be back next week with a new show, so make sure you tune in and stay safe out there.